April 8th, 1943. 27,000 feet above Cannes, France. The roar of four Wright Cyclone engines drowns out everything, except the quiet scratch of pencil. Inside the B-17 bomber Liberty Bell, Sergeant William Will Hargrove bends over a small piece of paper, his gloved hand trembling slightly. The aircraft rattles under bursts of anti-aircraft fire, but Will keeps writing. His eyes dart between the window and the page, the ink freezing in the thin air. He writes to Margaret, his fiancée back in Ohio. His words are not about courage or victory, but about the smell of her hair after rain, the porch swing creaking in the summer wind, and the promise he made to return home. Outside, tracer rounds streak the clouds like burning threads. The co-pilot yells, "Flak at 3 o'clock." Will folds the letter carefully, tucks it into his jacket, and straps in. Moments later, the plane dives. The world becomes fire and steel. The wreckage of Liberty Bell was found days later, scattered across a French meadow near St. Lo. Of the 10 men aboard, only 2 parachutes were seen opening. Locals who rushed to the smoking crater found charred metal, torn uniforms, and fragments of lives that ended mid-sentence. Sergeant Hargrove's body was never recovered. For months, Margaret waited by the window each evening, watching the road for a telegram she both dreaded and expected. When it came, it was brief, missing in action, presumed dead. She kept his photographs, his dog tag, and a single letter that arrived 2 weeks later, the one he wrote before that final mission. The ink had bled from rain somewhere over the Atlantic, but the message was still clear. "If I don't make it home, promise me you'll keep living, Maggie. That's how I'll find peace." 70 years later, August 2013, Dayton, Ohio. A young couple was clearing out their newly purchased farmhouse when they stumbled upon an old tin box tucked behind a loose floorboard. Inside were faded photographs, rusted buttons, and a bundle of letters tied with a weathered blue ribbon. The paper was fragile, the ink pale but legible. On the top envelope, written in delicate cursive, "To my dearest Margaret, April 8th, 1943. The couple read in silence as dust drifted through the attic light. The letter spoke of fear, of duty, and of love that transcended war. Every line carried the weight of a man who knew his fate, yet still hoped. It was more than a message. It was a heartbeat preserved in paper. They turned the letter over and found one more line, faint and nearly erased by time. "If someone finds this, tell her I kept my promise. I wasn't afraid." The couple contacted a local veterans historian, who traced the name William Hargrove through faded Army Air Forces records. Within weeks, the letter was authenticated and sent to a small-town museum in Lancaster, Ohio, Margaret's hometown. By then, Margaret had passed away in 1998, childless but remembered as the woman who never stopped writing letters. At the museum's dedication ceremony, her niece stood before a crowd of veterans and townsfolk, reading Will's final words aloud. Some wept quietly, others removed their hats. For a brief moment, the room felt like 1943 again, the air thick with memory, the smell of old paper mingling with the echo of engines that had long fallen silent. The letter was placed in a glass case under a soft amber light, the ink still carrying the tremor of a soldier's hand. What was once lost in the chaos of war had found its way home, not as a relic, but as proof that love endures longer than any battle. Visitors still come to see Sergeant Hargrove's letter, veterans, students, even tourists passing through. Some lean close to read every word. Others simply stand in silence, feeling the gravity of a voice that survived decades of dust and distance. Teachers bring children there to remind them that history isn't just battles and dates. It's people, promises, and unfinished stories. Each Veterans Day, the museum curator plays a recording of a B-17 engine starting up, followed by the gentle sound of paper rustling, the letter being unfolded once more. Through that sound, Will speaks again. His words, written in the trembling cold of war, still reach hearts in the warmth of peace. The world has changed since 1943, but the message hasn't. Love outlasts war. Memory outlives death. And somewhere in that quiet Ohio museum, a young airman finally made it home. If this story touched you, imagine how many voices from the past are still waiting to be heard. Subscribe to America in Time to uncover more true stories that history almost forgot. Letters, diaries, and echoes from those who lived through the impossible. Because their words still matter, even 70 years later.